Leadership is often framed as a specific set of traits: charisma, decisiveness, confidence. But could it be that real leadership is far more diverse than we assume? I've seen teams struggle under leaders who fit the traditional mold, yet failed to connect with their people. At the same time, I've seen quiet, thoughtful individuals lead in ways that transform their workplaces. What if leadership wasn't about a certain personality type, but about how well a person understands and uses their natural strengths? Extroverts often rise to leadership roles because they are visible and outspoken. But could it be that some of the most powerful leaders are the ones who lead through listening rather than commanding? I've seen introverts create environments where people feel truly heard, where decisions are made thoughtfully rather than impulsively. What if leadership wasn't about who speaks the loudest, but about who understands people the best? The most effective teams aren't led by those who dominate discussions, but by those who create space for ideas to thrive. Intuition is rarely discussed as a leadership skill, but could it be one of the most valuable? In a world driven by data, I've seen leaders who trust only numbers, missing signals that aren't quantifiable. Meanwhile, others, often labeled as too emotional or too abstract, have an uncanny ability to sense team morale, anticipate challenges, and navigate uncertainty. What if intuition was recognized as a strength rather than a weakness? The best leaders don't just analyze facts. They read the energy of a situation and respond with wisdom. The strongest leaders aren't necessarily the ones with all the answers, but the ones who ask the right questions. Could it be that curiosity is a more important leadership trait than certainty? I've seen people in positions of power cling to their own viewpoints, afraid to admit they don't know something. But I've also seen leaders who invite different perspectives, allowing their teams to shape the best solutions. What if leadership wasn't about having all the knowledge, but about creating an environment where knowledge is constantly evolving? Leadership isn't just about personal capability. It's about how it influences the team. Could it be that great leaders aren't those who demand conformity, but those who encourage individuality? I've seen organizations where leadership is rigid, expecting employees to adapt to a single style. But I've also seen workplaces thrive when leaders recognize that different people bring different strengths. What if leadership was less about making others fit a mold and more about letting people lead in their own way? Adaptability might be one of the most overlooked leadership qualities. Could it be that the best leaders aren't the ones with a fixed style, but the ones who shift based on what their team needs? I've seen visionary leaders struggle with execution and detail-oriented leaders struggle with inspiration. But the ones who succeed recognize their own gaps and build teams that complement them. What if leadership wasn't about having every skill, but about knowing how to balance strengths and weaknesses? I keep coming back to this. Leadership isn't a title, a personality trait, or a checklist of qualities. Could it be that leadership is simply the ability to create movement, inspire action, and empower others? I've seen leadership emerge from every level of an organization, not because of authority, but because someone understood how to bring people together. What if we stopped looking for natural-born leaders and started developing leadership in every personality type? Maybe the future of leadership isn't about fitting a mold, it's about breaking it. Leadership isn't about a single personality type. It's about how different personalities think, adapt, and contribute in different situations. Could it be that leadership isn't something people are born with, but something they develop through structured thinking? A critical thinking workshop using the 5 C's and 8 D's model helps employees understand their own strengths, recognize the value in different leadership styles, and develop the ability to lead dynamically. When leadership is seen as a way of thinking rather than a fixed trait, more people step up in ways that benefit the whole organization. It starts with conceptualizing, helping employees recognize the diversity of leadership styles. Many organizations assume that leaders must be decisive, outspoken, or authoritative, but could it be that real leadership comes in many forms? A structured thinking workshop encourages participants to analyze different leadership approaches, identify their own natural tendencies, and explore how different styles contribute to problem solving and team success. When leadership is no longer tied to a stereotype, more employees develop the confidence to step into leadership roles. Once employees recognize the range of leadership styles, cognizing helps them develop leadership strategies based on their own strengths. Some people lead through vision, others through logic, and some through emotional intelligence. Could it be that organizations fail to cultivate leadership because they expect everyone to lead the same way? The 8 dimensions of critical thinking, 8 Ds, including extroversion, introversion, intuition, and sensing, help employees see how different thinking patterns contribute to leadership, allowing them to refine their own approach instead of trying to fit a traditional mold. Comprehending ensures that employees don't just recognize leadership differences, but also understand their impact in real-world situations. Many organizations promote leadership based on experience or charisma rather than actual effectiveness. Could it be that strong leadership isn't about personality, but about how well someone understands the complexities of their role? A critical thinking workshop trains employees to analyze leadership challenges, assess different leadership responses, and adapt based on what the situation requires, rather than personal preference. Leadership isn't just about having the right mindset, it's about execution. This is where characterizing becomes essential, helping employees define how they will apply leadership in their daily roles. Many workplaces struggle because employees hesitate to take responsibility, waiting for a designated leader to step in. Could it be that leadership isn't about position, but about structured action? A critical thinking workshop helps employees translate their leadership insights into clear, actionable behaviors, ensuring that leadership is distributed rather than concentrated at the top. The final step, concluding, ensures that leadership development isn't just about identifying traits, but about making real decisions. Many employees avoid leadership not because they lack ability, but because they lack confidence in decision-making. Could it be that the best leaders aren't the most experienced, but the ones trained to think critically? A structured thinking workshop teaches employees to assess situations objectively, make well-reasoned choices, and trust their ability to lead when the moment calls for it. When leadership is built on structured thinking, more people feel prepared to take initiative. The 5 C's and 8 D's model in a structured thinking workshop doesn't just develop leaders, it expands the definition of leadership, making it more accessible to different personalities. Could it be that leadership isn't a fixed quality, but a skill that anyone can develop through critical thinking? When employees learn how to analyze, adapt, and take structured action, leadership becomes less about personality and more about a shared responsibility that strengthens the entire organization.